Evening, everybody, and welcome to the first meeting of the new year, January 14th, 2026 meeting of the Wilmington School Committee. First item on our agenda, please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I am thrilled to start off the new year with a report from our Wilmington Middle School representatives. Tonight we have Annie Saragosa and Gabe Elka joining us. Come on down, guys. Thank you for being here.
Hi, I'm Gabriel, and for the middle school, we have the chorus, Miss Prindeville over there, and their 8th grade chorus class has proudly presented their talent on January 8th, 2026 for their winter chorus concert. It took place here at the high school in the auditorium through 7 through 8 p.m. Miss Prindeville has also presented an event which we wouldn't like to miss, Shrek Jr. the Musical. Grades 6 through 8th have trained extensively by high schoolers and adults, whether it's cast or crew. Who wouldn't want to miss that? I definitely wouldn't. Now, Drama Club isn't the only club working hard. The math team is. Mrs. O'Leary, the 6th grade challenger teacher, is bringing kids from 6th to 8th grade to work on math problems no matter the topic. Their team captain, Achilles, is helping kids learn important math skills whilst using his excellent leadership skills. About the Robotics Club, on January 10th, the Robotics Club participated in their first competition at Andover, where they completed their first tech challenge, FTC, with their robots Decode and Roborstorm 10.1. Leading up to the event, the team focused on repairs, dedicating every moment to modifying the machines and staying late, ultimately logging 11 hours in preparation. The competition involved a game where the robots had to scoop up 3 wiffle balls at a time in a specific order and fire them into a basket. The match began with an autonomous period where everything was pre-programmed, allowing the bots to perform initial operations. After this phase, the students took control of them during the tele-operated section, directing them into the remaining tasks. A team overview include Apollo and Artemis, which were the teams involved. Team Apollo reached the playoffs and has 1 win away from finals, and 2 win away from the states, and they won the Sustain Award. They finished the season in 6th place. However, Team Artemis did not make it back to the playoffs, and they placed 14th. Both teams started off slowly, but improved as the season progressed. Apollo and Artemis are the only middle schools in this competition.
In band, this winter, we had an amazing performance executed by grades 6 through 8 at Wilmington High School by the Wilmington Middle School Band. They got to play really fun and enjoyable music, including some holiday music to end this week, going into break having a really fun time. Pushing through and persevering challenges they faced with the weather delay. They delivered a spectacular concert that amazed everyone. For Spirit Week, as break was getting near, we had an undercover Spirit Week. The teachers throughout the week dressed up under secret from the students. Some of these mysterious spirit days were Candy Cane Day and Grinch Day. Though the teachers had a fun week, the students did too. On Thursday and Friday, they got to wear fun PJs and wear holiday sweaters, adding on some holiday cheer. To end the fantastic week before break, the 8th graders, in a tough match, went against the teachers head-on. Through climbing and fighting their way through the match, they quite did not make it, as they trailed many points behind, as Mr. Mack and Mr. Kyra crushed the competition throughout the game, leaving the stands and an audience to be very ecstatic and wired from the excitement, making this game an event a highlight of everyone's year. Student Council. So far, the Student Council has taken a great turn, and everyone is working hard and helping each other, and the school has become better. We are decorating bulletin boards and preparing for the upcoming dances, and they are showing great leadership skills and qualities. Recently, the 6th graders also had their squid dissection. Every house got to dissect a squid with their friends. Though it was extremely fun for the students and the teacher, it smelled extremely bad throughout the hallways afterwards. But that cancels out, as it was a great opportunity for students to learn about the body system and such. For Cubing Club, a new club joined the Wilmington Middle School this quarter. That being the Cubing Club. It is a fun club where students who can join and learn showcase their skills with the complexity of the Rubik's Cube. Personally, I find this fascinating and cool, as I am not the best with puzzle toys.
I'd also like to thank Charlie for doing a lot of the work. However, she could not come today due to basketball and a few stuff at home.
Excellent. Thank you both very much. Questions, comments from the committee? Thank you. Mr. Egsdale.
I was glad to hear from the description of some of the faculty-student competition that despite, leading a supportive school, that Mr. Kyra hasn't forgotten how to crush students in competition. Important skills to always retain.
Thank you, Mr. Egsdale. Anybody else? Mr. Chair?
One thing I wanted to go back to, besides Track Junior is going to be fantastic. I did also want to highlight the robotics piece. Part of what continues to amaze me is the vertical piece with the robotics teams at the middle school, all the way up through the high school, but also the fact that the middle school team consistently over the last several years has competed with high school teams and done very well typically. So that's fantastic and a great program. So thank you for the update on that one.
Of course.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Anybody else? Oh, well, thank you both very much. Like I told you, you're welcome to stay and join us, but if you want to go, we won't be offended. So. Have a great rest
For your
of
time.
night.
Thank you.
All right, moving into our consent agenda with no objection, we'll take this slightly out of order and do the Wilmington Middle School New York City field trip for April 2027. Ms. Prindiville is here.
Hi.
Welcome, good evening.
Been a while. How's everybody?
Good.
Terrific. You?
I'm good. We just finished a 4-hour rehearsal in the auditorium for Shrek. It's next week, so
There you go.
if
You're not
you
busy at all.
want your free ticket, feel free to email me or Mrs. Andrade. Yeah, go for it. Okay, so last time I was here, it was a couple of years ago when I was proposing with Mrs. Andrade the London trip for 9th through 12th grade. And I believe it was Mr. Turner. No, this is a good thing. Was talking about how, wonderful these international trips are, but it would be really great to do something, more on a national scale. And that kind of got my wheels spinning, and then we can go to the next, or do I do it? Yep. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Use the power.
Amazing. So I don't have to really go into this, but basically I was able to go on a trip to Barcelona. It's on the 1, 2, 3, 4. It's on the fourth part of my info. But I was given the opportunity to travel to Barcelona in October, where the picture was taken. And it kind of got my wheels more turning that it would be really great to bring some sort of program like that to the middle school level, but kind of like, a lighter version of what the opportunities at the high school are. So that's where this idea came in for me to take 8th graders to New York City next year, and then hopefully the goal is to take 8th graders every year to another area of the country, or to one of the outlying islands, or north of the border rather. So this is kind of just our litmus test, if you will. I'm not a science person. I think I said that right, though. To see if this is something that's feasible and attainable and something that people are interested in. If accepted by the school committee, I can tell you that I have over 200 interested families, which I was very surprised about. But not only to do a national trip, but to incorporate some service. I was very much involved with community service programs in college, and so I went to Florida to work at animal shelters and to clean up the Everglades, and then I led a trip to Chicago to work with the Boys and Girls Club, and also to test Lake Michigan water. It seemed like a good idea at the time, but March in Chicago is really cold. So maybe not then, but it was still a really worthwhile trip. And so something that I would like to do is to incorporate some sort of service learning as well. And Education First is a really good company that gives you the opportunity to do that. So as I mentioned, we're going to New York City. It'll be 4 days, hoping to kind of hit some of like the bigger attractions. I know a lot of the kids see me as the chorus and theater and music teacher, and so they're like, oh, is it all just gonna be like Broadway and like musical theater? I'm like, I have other interests too. So there's plenty of opportunities for kids to learn about the history of New York City. And yes, I threw in a Broadway show, and in a compact amount of time, so that way everybody can get a really full and rich experience. It would be during April. I decided to do it during April breaks. And so I proposed, I believe, no, I'm doing it wrong, sorry. During, I know it says Thursday, April 15th, 2027 to Thursday, April 22nd. It would be 4 days, 3 nights. I'm proposing Saturday, we leave on Amtrak, and then like Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Tuesday we would return home on Amtrak. So that way the kids would also get, to enjoy their April break as well. I would have a tour director with me, so I actually know my way very well around New York City. I go there once or twice a year, but obviously there's dedicated tour directors who are even more knowledgeable about the city than I am, so they would be there with us the whole entire time. Also at the hotels, we have security guards. We also have tour guides for the designated tours as well. What's included with the fee, again, full-time tour director, all transportation, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I know not every trip always includes that, but this one does, which is really nice. All the tips needed for all the services. Clean and safe hotels, most likely we'd probably be, just from trips I've done in the past, not here necessarily, but like in other places, like it's usually like a place in Jersey City, so right over the border. And tickets to different sightseeing tours, and yes, Broadway. The only thing that the students will be responsible for are the baggage fees, like to store their bags on the train, and snacks and souvenirs. So the enrollment fee is $95. It's going to be $46 bi-weekly, or it's $94 a month for, Education First was really great, and they locked in the price through next Friday for me to keep it at $1,499. Otherwise, the cost would go up. And again, my thought is that if this goes well, if this is approved and the trip goes well and everything like that, I would introduce the trip earlier for like this year's 6th graders who are going to be in 7th grade. I would, with school board committee approval, I would then get, they would have a couple more, they would have like 2 years to then pay for it. And then the 5th graders who will be 6th graders next year, they'll have like 3 years to pay for this trip. Because I don't want cost to be a prohibiting factor. I know you've probably gone the EF spiel a lot, but EF really is a wonderful company. When I was on the tour in Barcelona, I got to learn how to not only be like a education tour guide, but I was also able to like learn about what the tour directors do, so that way I can make it as beneficial of an experience for the students I would be taking on the trip as well. Again, they're incredibly safe. Well, obviously, they're they put safety first, and if there's any sort of issues going on with, the times that we're dealing with, who knows, But if there's something going on, they will always make the judgment call to put the safety first, and we would probably redirect our travel time. They have opportunity to kind of, they should all go to Wilmington High School, but, goodness forbid they choose to go somewhere else. They have this or if they want to apply to summer camps or, internship programs, when they get to high school, they can use this experience as part of that. Also, again, talking about cost being a prohibiting factor, there's fundraising pages, there's also scholarships. I'm also planning on doing some different fundraising ideas at the middle school. So whatever kid ends up helping me run those fundraisers, they would get a portion of those proceeds to go into their account. It's more the EF stuff. And then now I'm on the questions section. So questions.
Thank you, Ms. Prindiville.
Yeah, no problem.
Questions? Mr. Golden.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, Ms. Prindiville. I have 2 comments and a question. One, I'm really jealous they're going to MoMA because I've always wanted to go to MoMA. And I still have.
Yeah.
Second, my wife and I actually our honeymoon was an EF tour, and I can just for that one experience, I'll say it was really well done and organized. And I know our other field trips have done well with EF, but just to reiterate,
Thank you.
seemingly are pretty well organized. My third question, my actual question is.
Yeah.
Are there swaps available for some of these items on the itinerary?
Yeah, absolutely. Basically what I'm gonna do is give the kids a chance to kind of fill out a form. I am putting all the attractions that we could possibly do in the city and be okay, what are your top choices? And then I'm gonna take that list and I'm gonna bring it back to EF and be this is what we wanna do. And they'll be great, let's do it. So.
Cool. Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Golden. Mr. Turner, Dr. McCauley.
So first of all, thank you. Very good to see you. Thank you for coming tonight. And I do really truly appreciate the foreign trips we do are at a scale of price that is what it is, and they're phenomenal trips. But this is really a different scale. And the other piece of it is I really do appreciate the idea of bringing something back to the middle school as well. It took a little while after COVID to bring it back to the high school, and now we've got that going really well, and have had some fantastic trips. The middle school has not traveled in this sort of way in multiple years.
Since 2017.
Then, yes. And so this, as an idea, I think, and there's a little bit of bravery of taking 8th graders away for 4 days, and so good luck with that part of it. But I think it's fantastic that you're trying to push this back to the middle school as well. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. I know it's I know this is going to seem silly to say, but I really do middle school is my wheelhouse, and they're such a good age and they're so fun, and yes, they say off the cuff things all the time, but they're such wonderful humans. And my philosophy in teaching, and this is kind of why I'm bringing this trip forward, is that we're all humans first, and then they're students second, we're teachers second. So I'm trying to bring that component into the trip, so that way, they can kind of get a better view of, the world. Just because, some kids might not have the opportunity due to factors to travel outside of Wilmington or the Boston area. And so I'm hoping that if this goes well, I can, kind of usher, as long as I'm teaching and there's still trips to be had, the chance for the kids to, become better humans.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mr. Dr. McCauley.
Yeah, just like
Yeah.
Echo, I love the idea of this trip,
Thanks.
especially bringing it back to the middle school. When I was in 8th grade, I went to the Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
trip, which was fantastic. Also went to Boston and Philadelphia middle school,
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
which was nice. And then I definitely say MoMA's good, and the High Line's a really nice walk, too.
Oh, okay.
Ever want to do that? Anyway, just one question, and you kind of mentioned this, was the cap's at 40 to 50 students. I imagine demand's higher. You said it was 200
Yeah,
students.
I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. How are the students going to be selected?
Yeah, so it's honestly on a first come, first served basis. I've already talked with EF. If the interest is really that great, we may open it up to 2 tour buses, but again, that's kind of, I am one person, and I think Mr. Turner can vouch for me, and probably Mr. Ragsdale, because you've seen me take 180 students to Six Flags and do performances. It's definitely quite different with a 4-day, 3-night trip. I am one person, so, I think like basically it's, as I said, it's first come, first serve. If it gets approved, at 6:30 on the dot, I'm opening up registration to everyone. So people at the meeting and people who weren't able to attend the meeting, they're all going to get the same opportunity to do it at the same time. So it's not so much me choosing. Like, I'm not going to be like, oh, you. Nah, not you. Like, that's not my philosophy. So it's kind of just like, there's always going to be some drop-offs. Like, for the London trip, we've had some students drop off too, and then we've had a wait list, and so those kids on the wait list were able to come on. So that will be the same process.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Ms. Lloyd.
First of all, I think this is great. I'm really glad you're doing this. When I was a middle school teacher, I helped chaperone the 8th grade field trip to DC, so I can attest to the fun. It's a little crazy, but it's such a good learning experience too, and bonding experience.
Yes.
So I think that's great. And I like that it's something fairly local, because again, we're talking about international, but just making it more accessible for kids. And there's so many great historical and important places right there to go. So I guess some of my questions are, well, I also really like that you're doing it over April vacation.
Yeah.
So I know the trip that we did before, we ended up having, they eventually stopped doing it in part because of costs, missed school days, so the fact that this is New York and it's April vacation is great, but it was also teacher chaperones was a challenge. So are you going to be bringing chaperones, or is it, you're sounding like it's just you, but that sounds
no, I have, and, yes, no.
And do you suspect like being able to have enough people, or will that,
yes.
Great.
So it'll be myself. I have a parent who is also a teacher at the school who will be on the trip. And then I have I think 2 or 3 more parent chaperones, and that will be the vetting process, because I'm not taking 50 parents and then there's no room for the kids. So I have to kind of be okay, what are my needs? And also we're bringing a nurse too, and I've already gotten the groundwork started with Becky Brown, and I found a nurse already.
Great.
So. Did that answer your question? Okay, great.
That's great.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
Thank you. Mr. Ragsdale, did you have a question? I'm sorry.
My question was actually about chaperones, so asked and answered.
Yes. Yeah, no, it's not me by myself with 100 kids. Yeah. I don't think I'd come back.
And I would add that EF is the company that ran the Greece trip that ran at the high school last June.
Yes.
And which was, from all accounts, very, very well run and well done. So they have a good track record.
Yeah.
Very good. Thank you. Okay. Hearing nothing else, I would entertain a motion. Mr. Turner?
Second.
Move that we approve the trip.
That's the one.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Golden. Further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous.
Cool. Thank you so much. The
Patience,
kids will be
thank
so
you.
excited.
You.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank
No
you.
problem. Take care, and I'll see you at Shrek.
Yes.
Yes, you will.
Everyone at track.
All right, continuing with our consent agenda, we have, let's do this one separately. We have approval of WEF grants in the amount of $6,550 for a special events grant and miscellaneous grants. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Golden, second. Mr. Turner, all those in favor? Unanimous. A huge thanks and appreciation, as always, to our friends at WEF for their continued support. Continuing on, we have grants 23 through 25, revolving 34 through 37, local 54 through 65, food service 32 through 36, and food service 1. We have circuit breaker 11, special education 32 through 37, and we have payroll ending 12/31/25 and 1/14/26. Mr. Turner?
In the meeting minutes at the top, because we skipped over those ones. I just wanted to make sure we didn't forget those, sorry.
And, thank you, minutes of our last regular session meeting, December 17th, 2025. All right, move for approval, Dr. Bryson. Second, Mr. Ragsdale. All those in favor? Thank you. Unanimous. Nope, thank you for checking me, I appreciate that. That's unanimous. All right. That concludes our consent agenda. With no concern or argument from the committee, I'd like to take this just ever so slightly out of order because we have some friends and guests joining us. So I would propose to do public comment and then new business, and then we'll take up the superintendent's report at the end. Are we good with that? Okay. With that, then we would move to public comment. We had one submitted, public comment before the meeting. No one has signed up in advance. However, as we always do, we'll open the meeting to public comments. Okay, hearing no public comment, we will move on to our first item of new business. And by a flip of the coin, Mr. Gendron, Wilmington High School new course offerings with guests, I'm told.
Yes,
So,
yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Ingram. Thank you, Mr. Jen.
I would have asked to have seen the replay on the coin flip myself. Okay, hello everyone. Thank you
evening.
for having us. We are excited to talk about some new courses that took place at the high school this year. As you recall, last year in the program of studies, there were a number of proposals which you supported, and we're looking forward to next week presenting the new requests for the program of studies. One thing we realized was missing in that cycle was a report back to how some of the new additions went, and we are very pleased to talk about 5 courses tonight, as Chair Fennelly mentioned, with various guests. So my first guests are here to talk about English 12. Mr. Lewis, you can take it away.
Sure. Thank you for having us. So I teach a new 12th grade English class called Futuristic Fiction. It originally started a few years ago as a half-year elective, and we decided to try it as a full-year semester class. The course mostly focuses on works of science fiction. Some of the books that we've read and will read are War of the Worlds by H.G. Wells. We read Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut. We'll read Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. We read these books because they're interesting and enjoyable science fiction stories, but the real purpose is to try to find some deeper messages that the books are commenting on. The best science fiction goes beyond just entertainment, tries to make you think about things and issues in your own society. War of the Worlds, excuse me, for instance, is a story about like a Martian invasion of Earth. It's really, a commentary on 19th century European imperialism in Africa. Slaughterhouse-Five is about a World War II veteran that gets kidnapped by aliens and time travels. But the story is really about like post-traumatic stress and the issues that soldiers face due to their experiences in war. So we touch on some heavy issues, but I think in a pretty enjoyable way. Beyond that, we're trying to incorporate some creativity into the class, so the students will produce their own original work of science fiction, which they kind of create their own world and then build a story to take place within it. And so far, it's been a really, really fun class for me to teach, and hope to continue it.
And don't take Mr. Lewis's word for it. Kevin was so kind to join us tonight, and we wanted to make sure for each of these courses that you heard from students who are involved in it, a little bit about why they chose to take the course and what their experience has been like.
Yeah. So again, my name is Kevin, and I'm taking futuristic fiction this year. I initially chose to take the course because just looking at the different options that we were presented, this one kind of stuck out. I've always loved science fiction and like dystopian futures as a genre, so that's kind of what drew me towards the class. And I think ever since I kind of looked into the class, I think probably most of what I felt is excited. The summer reading books, this was the first year that I kind of looked at the list of books that I could have read and actually felt excited since all of them seemed really interesting. I wound up going with Station 11, and I loved the book. Fast forward now, I've been in the class for a semester, and I've had a great time so far. I know Mr. Lewis mentioned that we had read War of the Worlds and Slaughterhouse-Five. I loved both of the books. I really like kind of the messages that they gave and the deeper commentary, but then also they were just good stories on their own. A lot of what we've done in class is not just reading, but kind of learning about the circumstances surrounding the books as well. So it's like when we read War of the Worlds, I forget if it was either before or right after it, we did a whole project on alien sightings and kind of reports of that and how it connects to that general fear of aliens that is present throughout the entire novel. When we were reading Slaughterhouse-Five, afterwards we watched a documentary on Kurt Vonnegut's life and how that kind of impacted his work, and we also watched a documentary surrounding the bombing of Dresden and the effect that had, and also kind of how it connected to the book. And then, as for like the mid-year and final, I think this is the first time that I've actually been excited about an English mid-year, considering it's not just writing an essay or taking yet another 50-question multiple-choice test. We're doing a whole project. We're doing a sci-fi world-building, whole short story. We actually just in class, we watched Star Wars and took notes on it, and the way that they incorporated George Lucas incorporated world building into that whole world and how it's kind of connected to a lot of the other kind of themes and messages that were brought up throughout the rest of the year in the other books. Overall, I've had a fantastic year so far, and I've enjoyed the class thoroughly.
Awesome, thank you. And so, thank you for talking about the futuristic fiction class. We thought it might make sense to pause and answer any questions that you might have while they're up here, and then we will continue to that.
Makes great sense. Thank you. Questions? Mr. Turner?
So, not really a question, kind of a suggestion. Take what he just said and make a snippet, and now you've got the plug for this class for next year's kids when they're signing up for courses. It's already done. So I think actually these sorts of short summaries of what students are getting out of the classes can be really helpful for the next year's kids to see and think about what they might want to select. It's a pretty good plug for the class.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Gold?
Thank you. Well, first, I just want to say, I'm going to say this for probably most of these classes on this list, how beyond jealous I am that you get to take this. This is so cool. For the students' own writing part, however, I'm really interested in a little bit more from Mr. Lewis about kind of the world building versus kind of narrative construction and like how like the unit kind of incorporates both of those because they're slightly different creative efforts.
Yeah, it's kind of, I don't know, it's like the chicken and the egg.
Right.
So what do you want to put first? So, yeah, sort of giving the students like the option, you know, do they want to try to come up with like a storyline first and then build the world around it? Do they want to kind of create the world first and then try to find a story to take place within it? And yeah, so the first stage is that, and then throughout the kind of the rest of the year and then their final project will be actually like writing the story itself.
So cool.
Student auditing your class.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Thank you, Mr. Golden.
Gonna send Nick back to high school.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
Definitely, he
That's
definitely
so
missed
good.
out. So he didn't go to Wilmington High. So.
Yeah.
Ms. Lord?
Just clarifying, is this an elective or is it the core, like 12th grade
It's
English
a core
class? So it
used
counts
to be an
as your 12th
elective.
grade?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was an elective class around for like half a year.
Yep.
And now it's, yeah, full-year class, and it's one of the 12th grade options, so.
That's great, because
Yeah.
I always think of, I remember high school here a long time ago, that you had to take whatever and just read what you're told to read, right? So this idea of having something that fulfills those requirements but is more aligned with students' interests, I think those are really great.
A few years ago, we tried to redesign the 12th grade curriculum, and so there are like genre-based classes. There's a mystery, horror, crime, some war and literature, Shakespeare, pop culture. So we try to appeal to a lot of different interests.
Oh, that's great.
So 9th, 10th, and 11th grade follow more traditional, like you
Yep.
take English 9, you take English 10, and then in grade 12, they can choose which, they're required to take one, but they can choose which genre they
Okay.
prefer.
That's great. Neat.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Good job. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
All right, next, Olivia. Right. So next, we're going to talk about the World, Religion, and Cultures course. As you may recall from last year's presentation, there were two one-semester electives, World Religions and a Cultures, Taboos, and Norms course that hadn't run in quite a while. So we decided to combine them, open it up to 9th graders, and we've had a lot of success. We're running 2 full-year sections with 34 students. And so this is a draft, a description of the course that Ms. Casson helped write. World Religions and Cultures combines 2 former one-semester electives into a single course. In the first half of the course, students study major world religions and focus on respectful, informed dialogue about beliefs, rituals, experiences, and traditions. In the second half, students conduct interview projects to learn more about another person's faith and explore global travel and culture. The course emphasizes cultural awareness, critical thinking, and respectful discussion. And here to talk about experiences in the courses, let me introduce Olivia.
Hi, I'm Olivia Strange, I'm a freshman, and when I was selecting my courses, I chose religion and cultures, mostly because I've always been very interested in religions. In 6th grade, you usually go over many of the major religions, and then you continue them in 7th grade. So when I was selecting my electives, I wanted to go deeper into religions and cultures. And Wilmington is not a very largely diverse community, so to be able to learn about all these different religions and cultures factually, something that excites me. Religion and culture play a very large part in history class, so sometimes when I'm studying for both, they seem to overlap. And it allows me to get a deeper view into history class when I'm studying. Some of the interesting things that I have learned about are common beliefs and practices. There are many misconceptions of different religions, so to learn factual practices and beliefs and not misconceptions is important. One of my favorite assignments that I've worked on, we do a lot of advertisements, you make different advertisements. This one I did was for a lotus garden, which was focusing on Buddhism and the representation of the lotus flower. We also play bingo a lot in class, which I enjoy. And this course has just allowed me to get a very deeper understanding of all the different religions and their beliefs and practices, and just how diverse the world truly is.
Wow, awesome job.
Thank you. Very cool.
So happy to pause too for questions about that course.
I think that's, what you said is so fantastic about a way to explore the wider world, which kind of is funny with one we're going to get to in two down the line from here, wider world to narrower world, but it's amazing and it is awesome because there's so much to learn and so much diversity even within individual religions of different people practice them in different ways. So that's the way you described it and the way you connect it back to your history class as well is pretty fantastic. So thank you for sharing.
Sure. Mr. Iso.
I just want to add that I'm so happy to hear that these courses are meeting with success and interest, because it's one thing to have them listed in your program of studies, but if you never run them and students are not interested and they don't fit people's schedules, then you kind of don't have them.
Yeah.
And so I think it's really great that not only that that these changes were made, but that it's meeting success and student interest and running with such good numbers.
Thanks for pointing that out.
Dr. McCaldy.
Yeah, so just to kind of echo some of these, I think it's great that we have this course, so people can learn more and kind of build more tolerance towards other cultures and religions. Just curious, kind of what religions do you kind of go over? Are they kind of more the major world ones, or do you go into some even kind of smaller ones or historical ones too?
So the way Ms. Casson teaches it is we usually went in the chronological order. So we started with Hinduism, and then we went to Buddhism, and then Taoism, and then we started with Christianity, right around Christmas time. And then right now we're learning about Islam. And then after we do our midterm, we're going to get more into cultures.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I like how she does it because Buddhism is built off of Hinduism, so it's nice to go in chronological order to see how they all play into each other.
Yeah, nice.
And that was a question we had around the development of the course, and it really, at a certain point, there's so many faiths and denominations that all can't be, and so there's an emphasis on the most major world religions, and then some time built into the second half of the semester for students to do some research and exploration if there are more specific interests that they have.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Jackson? Sorry.
No, please, Jackson. by
I
all
was
means.
encouraging if he had anything to say, he should say something.
I was going to ask him at the end, but no, please, go right ahead.
So I take AP Human Geography through a VHS course. So we spent 1 week this past quarter talking about different religions around the world and their different practices and different cultures. And I really found that week interesting. So it's really great that you guys get to spend an entire is it a year-long class or half?
Yeah, it's a year.
You spend an entire year focused on only like the surface level stuff that I learned in a week. I'm honestly a little jealous, kind of. Because religion is like a super interesting thing that most people don't really think about other people's like practices and beliefs like every other day. So it's really cool that you guys got to focus on that for a whole year.
Yeah, and I just want to add on to that. This is what I'm hearing is sort of like what I think kids are so excited when they get to college to do. They're like, oh, I'm so happy I get to finally dive into some of this, and that we're offering it at the ninth grade level is just really incredible. So I'm really proud of us and so grateful to you for coming and telling us about this, because I think that we're all sitting here going, this is really fantastic and so exciting to see how it's kind of not only correlating with what you're doing in history, but I imagine also some of the stuff you're probably going to do in English, and you can use this as a foundation for lots of courses as you move forward. But so it's exciting.
And on that note, a shout out to Ms. Casson, who was really thoughtful about how to bring these courses together and where it should fall and what grades it should be open to. And I think that really helped us land on the perfect situation.
Great.
I will just add in closing that my son is a freshman and is taking this course and has spoken very highly of it as well. So doing a great job. Two for two so far, so.
All right.
Nicely done.
Awesome. Nice job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Well, let's keep it rolling. Come on down, Paula. Paula's actually going to help us with the next two. So the first one I'm going to talk about is journalism. Jackson, you're going to help with this one too. This is a new year-long journalism course. We're running two sections that are both full. And this course focuses on news writing and student publication. In the first semester, students learn the style and structure of news briefs and longer feature articles, including sports, reviews, investigative, opinion, and lifestyle writing. They also practice pitching stories to their peers, mirroring a professional editorial process. In the second semester, students write, edit, and publish the Wildcat newspaper, applying these skills in a real-world context. The course develops clear communication, critical thinking, and practical writing experience. We'd like to thank Ms. Bellavia, who is the teacher of the course, who pitched it and is doing really well. And so I'd like to introduce Pella.
So I'm Paola, and I'm a senior, and I took the class because it interested me when I saw just the word journalism in general. And then I think it's really important that we get to when we start the class, we do a trivia, so we get to learn things that are happening right now. And some people have some very interesting answers because they don't know. But that gets the class started, and then we get to break off into groups, so it's very collaborative. And right now we just did our mid-year, which was choosing topics where we got to choose stuff that we like to write about, and we made a little newspaper. And then we're gonna start doing the newspaper for the Wildcat, so I think it's just nice that we get to choose something that we like to write about, and it's a little different than writing your basic 5-paragraph essay. It goes a little more in depth with knowing how to write a sports news brief or an opinion, or just knowing how to word things better. And I'm also not the best writer, so I took this class to make my writing better.
Awesome. Jackson, anything you'd like to add?
Sure. I originally took the class mainly because I needed one more elective on to put in my request, and ultimately it's the one I got, and honestly I'm glad I got it because it really is a fun class. It's not what I expected it to be. Like Paolo said, today actually we had to turn in our mid-year, which was the little mini newspaper, so that was fun because we got to focus on those little or niche likes and interests, and turn it into into something physical. So that was really fun to do. And after the midterm week, which is coming up, which is scary, we get to actually start making a full newspaper with the entire both with all the groups of it. So that's really something fun to look forward to, yeah.
Mr. Golden, I suspect you have a comment.
I have to. So this is so exciting to me. So I worked on my high school paper. I worked on my college paper. I was a journalist out of college. So first of all, I'll say I'm really happy that the pitching is an important part of it because I got to my first gig. I was working for the Eagle Tribune, which is up in the Merrimack Valley. And my editor was like, what do you got for me today? I was like, what do you mean? Aren't you supposed to tell me what to do? It's like, no, you're supposed to pitch me a story. So that skill that you're learning is very useful, and I wish I had it. I hope this class, it'd be great if it kind of gets into podcasting in the future and the kind of other ways that journalism is active and is changing and evolving. My final thought and note is I'm excited for the Wildcat News. It's going to be reporting about the high school, right? Goings on around the high school, or?
I think there'll be parts of that, but I think it's just like whatever we want to write about, kind of. So I'm sure some people focus on like school news and like town news, but some people might focus on like larger things, like stuff that's happening nationally or internationally.
Yeah. Well, I can only speak for myself. Well, I don't know if you wanted to chime in. I don't know if Jay.
I was just gonna say, like, she was telling us there's gonna be days where we can like be editors and like we're gonna like kind of run the room and like feel like we're like, running a newspaper room, which is like also really exciting.
That's great. I would just say I can only speak for myself, but I encourage you to chase whatever story you can find, even if it's in this school. If there's the truth out there, you should go for it. You won't hear boo from me about that. Even if it's I'm drinking alcohol instead of coffee. So that's awesome. Good for you guys. And I'm happy to answer any questions about journalism careers if you want.
Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Golan. Mr. Turner.
So one of the words you said, and I think you said this earlier as well with one of the other classes, that Ms. Bellavia pitched the idea that the teachers are coming up and saying, I want to teach this, is fantastic. Because then the day they start, they're excited about the topic, they're passionate about it, and so the opportunity feels like a really good opportunity for the teachers as well with some of these new classes to come out and say, okay, this is what I think we can do and this is how I think we can accomplish it. And I love that part of this process of these newer courses that you're offering. So I'm really, really happy to hear that part of it.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Dr. Bryson.
Can I go? David has his hand up. The other thing I'm thinking that sort of is in line with Mr. Turner's comment is this idea of college career ready. And I feel like this is not just take English, like it's sort of what else can you do with English? Well, you could do journalism. And again, it's one of those things that a lot of our students don't do until they get to college. And like, oh, I haven't really thought about journalism. Maybe I want to be, or our kids will say, I want to be a journalist. They'll take a journalist and they'll be like, oh, I don't want to be a journalist. So the idea like that we're offering this stuff early enough that they can actually start to either see themselves in it and say, oh, I really could see myself doing something like that. Or I loved it, but that's actually not for me. I feel like we're doing a little bit more of that, which is really going to be helpful to them when they enter into either college or career, because they already have a sense as to what some of these things look like. So I'm really excited to see what they're pitching, because already you're like, there's so many different avenues here. In all these courses, there are careers that come from that, and I think our students are getting a better sense of that.
Yeah, and we thought about whether this should satisfy like one of the requirements for English, and just given the dynamics and maybe the less emphasis on like reading of literature, we decided not to. So these students are still taking like an English class, but this can act as a supplement.
Yeah.
And I give you credit for saying like, I wasn't totally confident in my writing skills, so I was looking for more practice or a different form, and I'm glad to hear that worked out.
Yeah, it's getting better.
Great.
Mr. Egg.
My thoughts are similar to Dr. Bryson's in that I think this is just terrific. Journalism is both important and just one of the most common ways that we consume and produce writing. Like for people who write, it's like journalism is one of the primary ways that people do it. I mean, essays are great. Who doesn't love a good literary essay with breakfast? Journalism is what we tend to read and need, and what a lot of people are able to produce when they're looking to have opportunities to write more. And so I think it's outstanding.
Jackson, back to you.
So going off of what Mr. Turner said about like teachers being excited to teach it, so it's taught by Ms. Bellavia, who overall is a very like excited person, but you can like feel it when you walk into the classroom. Like she wants to be there, and it makes like the students want to be there, and it's just like a really great place to be. And it's just a really fun class to learn. She makes it like super fun and engaging with us. Like she doesn't like just be like, here's a worksheet, do this. Like she's like actually she goes around the room, like checks what are you writing, like how can I help you. It's like she's like very involved, and it's really good to see.
I agree. It's a very like different setting of a classroom. You feel like you're writing, like she's really incorporated with it, so you feel like you're writing something.
Not to belabor the point, and not specifically to journalism, but I think what you're hearing tonight, and some of you were there when I interviewed and talked about joy in teaching and learning, and I think like you're picking up on like the vibes and the emotion that can really come forth when students and teachers are feeling joy in teaching and learning. Awesome. All right, so we're going to segue into the History of Wilmington. So History of Wilmington is a new one-semester course, which filled up, as Mr. Ragdale said, 3 sections and 63 students in its first year. The course provides opportunities for students to explore local history, civic identity, and community engagement while building historical thinking and research skills. It's taught by Ms. Tucker and Mr. Maloney. Students examine Wilmington's history through multiple lenses, including indigenous history, early settlement, agriculture and industry, civic institutions, social organizations, and significant local events. Project-based learning is central, with students completing research projects and presenting their findings through writing, exhibits, and presentation. The course also fosters civic awareness by connecting local history to state and national developments, as well as current community issues. Direct engagement with local historians and community members include guided tours, guest speakers, which enrich the curriculum. And thanks to all the community partners and the town museum for helping not only develop the course, but lead it. So if you don't mind, can we double dip and talk a little bit about History of Wilmington?
Yes. When I first saw this on the elective, I was a little confused because I was like, History of Wilmington, this is really interesting. So I chose it, and when I got to the class, it was like deeper than just knowing how many Dunkin' Donuts are in town. Like, we got to know more about not just the history of Wilmington, but how it ties in with other things, and like going around like stuff from Boston and how things came to Wilmington and passed through Wilmington. So it's kind of like a history class, which I didn't have on my schedule this year. So it was also good to learn, still have that knowledge. And I got to go off based off that. And we went on a field trip around, we went on a bus around Wilmington, and that was so fun. We stopped to eat. And then we get to like go to the town common. We looked at the stuff there. We went to the library. We went to the graveyard. We got to just look around, and it's like kind of like a break from school. You get to leave class for a little. I kind of wish it was a full year.
Something for us to consider. On the bus tour, where were the stops?
Everywhere. There was parts of Wilmington I hadn't seen before that we went in, but we stopped at like, we looked at the Baldwin Apple. We looked at a bunch of places.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. Okay. Any questions about History of Wilmington? Sure.
Dr. McCauley and then Mr. Turner.
Yep, sure. So thanks for that. I kind of like this because we think we live in a sleepy little suburb, and we kind of do, but it actually shows that there was a lot going on here in the past, so it kind of relates that back. The other thing I like about this course, too, is may or may not be aware that third graders do a project also, and that's actually really popular. I had to bring my daughter to the graveyard because I guess there was a woman who was the woman of caskets in town or something like that. And, I don't know if the high schoolers remember doing that, and because it was a long time ago for them, but I kind of like that connection there. Maybe as we think of elementary, middle and high school, we can continue building this up a little bit more.
That's a great suggestion.
Yeah.
Did your group go to the Wildwood Cemetery?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so that might be a great opportunity for inter-level connection.
Yep, definitely.
Mr. Turner?
So to Mr. Golden's prior excitement, I may be a lot older than he is, but these sorts of classes, all of these are make me want to go back to high school too. And as somebody who spent some time in the library in the Wilmington History section, there is really a lot to learn. And when some folks first heard about this, is there enough even for a semester? But clearly there is, and perhaps even a full year. So it is amazing, and it's a fantastic way to build a connection between the students and the community. So I really appreciate this class. So thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lord?
Yeah, just echo that and agreed. My son just did the third grade project. And so I grew up here in Wilmington, and I learned things from his research that I did not know. And I actually don't think I ever realized Wilmington had history. So, which you're like, right. But I think sometimes we think of history as important things that happen somewhere else to other people, and it like brings it here. Like, oh, there's history right here where we are. There's culture, and it connects. So I love that you're learning about that and making that local connection.
And the town of Wilmington has done a really nice job preserving artifacts. So they have a really nice electronic library where you can go back and look at yearbooks from the late 1890s. And, I know the teachers have helped find primary sources that show how the town was responding to like international events. So they've really taken it seriously. And again, that's Ms. Tucker, Mr. Maloney, and Mr. Hackett. They've done an awesome job.
That's fascinating.
Can I ask real quick, sorry, was there, or will there be sort of like a collaboration between the class and the town museum?
There has been,
Okay.
yeah. Matt, I hope I say it right, Perez.
Okay.
Is that right?
Yep,
Yeah.
that's right.
Beers?
I think it's
Yeah. As soon as this happened, he and Mr. Hackett, who's our social studies CTL, they connected and started brainstorming. And I mean, you talk about two history guys like developing a local history course. They came back with so many ideas. They said, I don't know how we're going to fit this into a semester. And I think it's a good problem to have such rich material to kind of choose what's best. And so I think in the first iterations, we'll stay with the one semester, certainly with opportunity and ideas for growth.
Matt Beers also brought us items from the museum to our class, which was nice too. We got to see artifacts.
Very cool.
Awesome. And you can stay. We got one more to talk about. We don't have a teacher or a student for this one, but you might recall the Google Certification Applied Digital Skills. It is one semester course. It's running as one section, and we're not referring to it as Google certification anymore because Google ended their certification shortly after the proposal went through. The course is still running, and it's preparing students with all the proficiencies that they would have needed to complete that certification. They go through all the Google products and spent the most time on Google Sheets. I'll read Mr. Levine's description. Students learn data analysis and visualization, including selecting, cleaning, sorting, filtering, and communicating data to support decision-making. They also, this is important, they also explore artificial intelligence, studying how AI models are trained and used, their strengths and limitations, and ethical considerations. Although Google discontinued the certification program, students still continue developing skills essential for college, careers, and real-world problem solving. And while they weren't able to attend tonight, Mr. Levine wanted us to emphasize that all of the Google products have AI built into them, and the strongest student interest in the course has been around those AI elements. That led Mr. Levine to develop a proposal that you hear about next week to build a standalone elective course based on the principles of artificial intelligence. And I won't expound a ton on that right now. We'll have next week to talk about that. But that's to say the applied digital skills, like basic proficiency in all of the Google products, they'll remain a separate need for that. But the organic excitement about artificial intelligence that developed there, I think, led us to believe that we have something, which we'll talk about next week. So I'm happy to answer any questions about that course, if you have any.
So much real-world applicability to this class. And part of what's interesting about it is actually the piece that they're starting with before they get to the AI. This is going to sound maybe boring, but data sorting and cleaning actually means that what you do with AI is actually more useful. So companies that try to jump into AI without understanding their own data first get really bad results. And so there's the interlock between these pieces and the real-world applicability of all of this is kind of off the charts. So it's a great start, and it's good to hear that he's going to be moving forward. I've heard from students a lot of times, especially earlier on, when there was a lot of warnings about AI. Well, don't just warn us. Tell us the good, the bad, and the ugly, so we can use it intelligently, and don't say just don't do it. So I think this class and the potential next week, both are really, really good to hear about. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dr. Bryson?
Yeah, I mean, I have this pretty much the same comment, but it is great to hear us talking about embracing it instead of being afraid of it. And I think I echo that just idea that at the university level, it is fully being embraced. I mean, we have to go through AI certifications. We're offering courses after courses. It is a huge symposium coming up. Every symposium I go to is about AI, so it's nice to they're getting that here too. So when they get there, they're not going to be like, whoa, we didn't do this. So I think it's exciting to see, and not surprising, but also exciting that we're kind of in this place of, okay, what is it? How do we use it? When is it right to use? When is it not right to use? And I think it's just a nice way to end sort of this. We've been talking about these other courses and lots of different ways to showcase our learning. And this is just one more thing that we can think about when we're showcasing our learning. So you're doing a great job, Mr. Gendron.
Thank you.
Doing a great job leading us. Thank you.
I appreciate that. And I think, like Mr. Turner pointed out, really all the credit is to the teachers and the students. There's so much excitement, and it wouldn't be possible without you all, too, giving the green light to move forward with the ideas that they bring to me and then I bring to you. So thanks for all your support. Excited for next week, too, to talk about what we got up our sleeve next. But thank you to the teachers and the students for helping us talk about the courses.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much. All right. That brings us to, let's see. Let's do Wildcat Clinic and Athletic Trainer role update with Mr. Ingram. Good evening, Mr. Ingram.
Good evening. Thank you guys for having me down here. That's a tough act to follow. Without a doubt, Mr. Gendron does an amazing job representing Wilmington High School every single day. Last time I was on, after I left, some of the budget conversation got to the trainer piece. So hopefully I can help kind of tell that story of how we got to where we are right now. And obviously after I'm done, I can answer to the best of my capabilities any questions that you guys have. So the trainer at the Wilmington High School, it's a contracted position with Professional. It's a yearly contract, middle of August to the end of June, roughly 1,500 hours during the school year. So Professional is down to 3 schools that they cover. It's Woburn, Shawsheen Tech, and Wilmington High School. And in the last 3 years, they've lost 6 school contracts. So this model is diminishing. So Professional kind of brought that to our attention last summer, and we internally started having conversations with Mr. Ruggiero and Ms. Sully over at the Roman House about, is this an appropriate thing that we can add? Should we start talking about it? And if we ever lost the contract with Professional, an hourly rate of a per diem, it could be up to $75 an hour. So that gets expensive very quick. So that's kind of why we brought it and we put it into the budget for this year. And just a couple of things about an athletic trainer. So every time we have a football game, whether it's freshman, JV, or varsity, we need a trainer there. Anytime we have a wrestling meet, whether it's JV or varsity, we need a trainer there. Anytime we have a varsity hockey game, we need a trainer there. We cannot start these competitions without the trainer. If we offered rugby would fall into the same kind of threshold there. And then if teams qualify for the tournament, which under the current model, more and more teams are qualifying for the tournament, if you qualify for the tournament, you're required to have a trainer for baseball, softball, field hockey, boys and girls lacrosse, boys and girls softball, boys and girls soccer, and volleyball. We obviously try to have a trainer at as many offerings and events that we have. Some parents, when our trainer is not there, they don't even know that he doesn't have to be at those events. So that tells me that we do a pretty good job of having coverage as often and as much as possible. A lot of the schools in the district and neighboring schools have transitioned to a school-based employee model. A lot of them have. And some of them, including like Burlington has 4, Watertown has 2, Lexington has 3. So once they've got it in, they've continued to go where they kind of ensure that they have a trainer at as many events as possible. So that's kind of like a short history and kind of like how we are, where we are. And Professionals also kind of said that they won't come out and say it officially, but if they lose another school, they might fold the entire program. So we could be in a troublesome situation sooner than later. So that's kind of why we brought this into the budget proposal this year. I don't know if anybody has any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Ingram. Questions? Dr. Bryson, you want to start?
Not a question. I guess I just want to sort of extend or ask a little bit more about preventative care.
Sure.
As a parent, 2 athletes, one of whom is injured quite often. There is a lot to say about preventative care that we just, at this point, do not have the potential to provide, right? Because it's just Tom is running from place to place to place. And it's funny because I actually thought years ago that he was supposed to be at the cross country. He's not. That's not a requirement.
I remember that day and lost sleep over it. Yeah.
It wasn't my kid. I was advocating for someone else. But I was like, where's the trainer? And the trainer was at another game. I mean, it was, so it's sort of, but he actually was able to get there to help, but he was at another space, had to get someone to cover. I mean, it was just, it's a lot to just deal with the sort of the emergency in the moment, not to mention things that kids might need taped up beforehand. I mean, lots of ways that we could be supporting our athletes. I mean, the athletics is so big in all high schools, right? And we're so proud of our athletics. And I think having a full-time trainer that will enable us to do more of that preventative care and not just the in-the-moment emergency, but also sort of, and I think he's done a great job doing as much of that as he possibly can, but it's very difficult.
It's very difficult.
I mean,
And-
how
and
do you do that, you know?
I should mention that when he's contracted, he does have office hours at professional. So like Dr. Bryson was mentioning, it's kind of the idea and kind of an image that he's just always here. He doesn't get here until right before the dismissal. And then dismissal, we have teams going everywhere. Kids are coming down to see him. So it's not, he doesn't have the ability right now to be in the building for longer stretches of time, really.
Yeah. So I just feel like that preventative piece would be so important to us and to our athletes.
Oh,
And
it'd be
that's
so
just that
critical
one
for us.
piece of, so I understand the contract and all that's changing, but I feel like that would be just, we've talked about this sort of out of here, but it's such an important part of being a strong athlete who's ready to really perform. And to also have someone who can teach kids about how to really stretch, how to take care of yourself, how to make sure you don't have all these injuries. I don't know what our rates of injury are, but when you're not doing those sorts of things, it can certainly lead to some more injuries.
Without a doubt,
So
absolutely.
I think it's exciting, and I can't imagine not sort of really supporting something like this. So, but thank you for the additional context, because I know that you're probably watching our meeting and going, wait, I have more to tell you.
I did think about calling in. My wife was like, do not call in.
Can we do that? We have a line, like an open line for Dennis.
But happy to come back and answer questions. Sure.
Mr. Golden.
Thank you. Wholeheartedly agree. When you look at like professional sports now, but you hear about the kids who spent their whole lives chasing that dream, and then the wear and tear of the intensity level rising year after year, the competition, the wear and tear, I've already said on the body, it makes a lot of sense. What you mentioned, however, about the about that what is it, professional?
Yes.
That they might be closing their doors. So like, I am supportive of us hiring an athletic trainer full time. But what happens if that person like is off or can't be there, and then are there other services like professional out there that could cover for a full-time employee that isn't able to be there?
There are subs, and there are people who fill in. I mean, so like if you look at like the biggest needs that we have are the sports that, you know, legally we have to have representation at, right? So we're in the middle of the winter season, so I look at how are we going to finish this winter season with wrestling and ice hockey. Now, if our trainer right now was in a situation where they had a personal commitment or they got sick, he has like almost like a black book of contacts, people to fill in. But that what used to be this pool is now down to like this pool. Wow. And like when we talk about getting subs, or even like sometimes we're really at the convenience of the rink in winter where we don't play. Sometimes we have to have a wrestling and a hockey game on the same night, right? So we need two people. It's competitive out there, so that's why the per hour, per diem, sometimes could get to be 75. You know, well, someone would say, I can work for you, but there's a school that's offering me this. If you one-up them a little bit, I can work for you. And, you know, without having to postpone the game and try to reschedule it and forfeit the ice that's already been paid for. They kind of have us there at that situation.
Okay. So, just as a follow-up, so like, those subs, that black book of subs, so is there going to be a point in the future where it's like the competition has been so severe for folks to fill those roles that you almost need to hire like a second full-time, a third full-time, or like, is there an alternative solution?
I do believe we're going in that direction.
Okay.
Burlington High School has 4 trainers on staff at the high school, and their school committee has a policy that no games will be played without AT coverage. Right. And you know, that's a huge financial commitment, but it's also a huge liability that the athletic department can kind of not have to worry about, that they have proper coverage. But I should let you know that all of our head coaches are first aid, CPR, AED certified. So in the case of a situation where we had a game like or an event like cross country, where we have an event somewhere else that the trainer's at, we do have people in place to handle an emergency.
Cool. Thank you.
Mr. Golden. Ms. Lloyd.
I just have a few questions. So, I mean, can you describe a little bit the current, do we have just one person who's our primary go-to person? But then how often, I was wondering because even if we were to hire someone full-time, like, are there often multiple games at a time? You need more than one person anyway, where contracting with different people might give us more flexibility.
So we can kind of go through season by season. Like in football, in the fall, football primarily is played on Friday nights. So when we are building our schedule, the league schedule for other sports in the fall stays away to the best of they can of Fridays. And when we're building our non-leagues, we try to stay away from Fridays. And then it gets more tricky in the winter because we have 2 sports that require a trainer, but we do the best that we can to try and not schedule things on the same night. Now, one of these things, it keeps peeling back. We don't have our own rink anymore. So we take the ice that we get. They work with us, they help us, but the rink we're currently at, I think there's like 7 or 8 high school teams in. So there is gonna be an occasion where we have a conflict and we're double booked. We try to minimize those to the best that we can, but it does happen. So looking into like the spring, there are no sports that actually require a trainer. That doesn't mean we don't want a trainer. We would prefer to have a trainer at every single game, especially the varsity, to kind of make us feel better about things. And I think parents who come to games also, I think that kind of calms some of their nerves, especially for like, football, lacrosse, some of these contact sports. Seeing a medical professional out there, okay, I think things are gonna be okay today.
And like how many hours a week on average is the person? I mean, I'm sure it varies, but if you were to
So his
come up with-
contract's for 1,450 hours for the school year. I would guess he goes over that every single year.
And of course, I feel like, math person, like I can just do that. Like,
I can tell you
is that like 20 a week? Like, what is that?
I think it's more than that, but like in the winter, we are out almost every single night. And then, it wraps around Saturday mornings. We'll have events here. Wrestling's usually here on a Saturday morning. So the hours add up very, very, very fast. So if I had to guess, he goes over that easily.
Okay. And then we just pay an extra hourly rate, or that's?
We just pat him on the back and say, good job.
So he's contracted for like a salary,
Yeah.
basically? Okay. That we pay, but to the agency, and
We
then they
pay
pay.
to the agency, and he has office hours in the agency. It's actually quite interesting. Professional used to be Pro X, which our baseball coach, he started Pro X. So this model that we have, our baseball coach kind of started it in, I think, the early 2000s to the mid 2000s. So it is quite interesting. And if this was 20 years ago, they would have a stable of younger ATs waiting for their break to get into a school, but they would just send another person. But that stable
There's just not
doesn't
many
really
people
exist
going into it anymore.
Yeah.
And when you say that they're losing, like Pro X is losing people, is it because they're getting hired, like,
I think
by
people in
schools?
the AT world are going more to collegiate. There's less people going into AT, and I think people who are going right to collegiate and trying to start their own business, where they'll pick
Yeah.
up per diem hours here and there, not necessarily make it their full-time position.
Okay. Yeah, I think my biggest, and then it sounded like the cost would be pretty different for next year if we went to salaried versus this. Is
Right.
that-
I think there would be an increase. I think right now the salary is right under 50,000. I think it's at like 48 and change. So we would anticipate, talking to some of the other schools in the district on what they've offered when they've posted their positions, it's been between the $70,000 and $80,000 to start. But it's very competitive. It's very competitive.
Yeah, from my perspective, I mean, I definitely understand this. I have my sister-in-law as an athletic trainer, so I'm familiar too with the role. It's just hard with the budget year and the educational priorities. And when I think about it from an educational perspective, the requirements we have to make sure we're serving people educationally, I would love to be able to offer everything. It's just, that's where I feel like there's a kind of a crunch on us.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Going back to Burlington, how big, are they way bigger than us or the same?
Well, if our current enrollment, I believe, is at 630, I think Burlington's at 8 860, 865, I want to say. So they're bigger than us, not greatly bigger than us,
They have
but
more
they are.
teams than we have, or?
No,
no?
we have the same offerings. The only offerings that they have in the athletic world that we don't have is more of esports. So we have almost the same offerings.
So around the same amount of athletes?
I think our
Perhaps?
participation rate, that would be a good question because we have a
Just
very
curious,
high
yeah.
participation rate. So I bet you that we do have almost the same size.
And they have how many trainers?
4.
All
Full-time.
full-time?
2 full-time, 2 part-time.
So essentially 2 full-time trainers and 2 sort of coverage almost.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Burlington High has 1,000 students.
Other questions for Mr. Ingram related to athletic trainers? Okay. Hearing none. Wildcat Clinic?
Wildcat Clinic. Okay, we are excited. This summer, we'll be back at Wilmington High School. We haven't really been at Wilmington High School for a summer with all the construction. We've had the construction of the track and the turf, and then the track was actually done 2 years previous. So we'll be excited to get back to the high school. One of the biggest offerings that we have is our track and field camp, and we haven't really been able to consistently offer that. There's no other tracks in town. Our track coaches are phenomenal, and last year they tried to put on a cross-country just to kind of, meet people halfway, and they did a great job with that. But our track camps on a week could get 100 to 160 kids. It's quite a production, and they do a really great job with that, and I know that they're really excited to get back to the high school. Our summer clinics, we try to get going as soon as summer is started. The problem with us getting information out this quick is we don't know when the last technical school day will be bearing any school snow days, right? So I've looked back at kind of where we've been. We've always released the information in mid-April. Last year, we released it in the first week of February. We're working right now on what offerings will be slotted in what weeks. We're trying to get creative on some new offerings, some things that will really excite people. So we are in the middle of the planning process for that right now, but we will be carrying out, hopefully, another great summer.
Questions about Wildcat sports clinics? More to come?
More to come. Invite me back.
Please do. All right. Dr. Bryce?
Thank you. And I think the nice thing about thinking about the clinics, I think we mentioned this last year, was when the enrichment courses come out, that when parents and families are looking at options for the summer, it's nice to sort of see all of it together so that people can start to pick and choose where they're going to send their kids for the duration of the summer. So thank you for, I know that this wasn't quite the right timing for you, but we do appreciate just kind of letting families start to remember and think about those camps that are available.
And we have started some initial conversations with the enrichment program, and we're trying to align everything to make it easier for the families in Wilmington.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Great.
That's great. And I think the clinics are great for any students who are interested in potentially coming, going to the high school and what athletics might look like there. It gets them those connections to the coaches, but it's also great for our athletes. Our high school athletes are very involved in those clinics, and so it's a really nice opportunity for them to sort of
Absolutely.
pass it on or share their expertise and be teachers and coaches, and I think it's a great opportunity for them too, and it's nice to see lots of those camps happening, and I'm glad that track can be back because that's our best seller.
It's a great one, yeah.
Bestseller.
They're so happy. They were very disappointed, Coach Patrono, Coach Kenny, that we were kind of off campus, if you will. But we're excited to be back.
So, and can I just say one more thing? I'm thinking, I'm thinking about Ms. Lord's comment about the budget, and it's on my mind in terms of how closely aligned athletics and academic progress are for kids. And so those kids who are doing athletics, when they are injured, how that affects their academics. And I do think that it's sort of making sure that we're thinking about athletes and their injuries or preventing their injuries is a really important piece of supporting the academic and social emotional growth of our students. So I think of this ask for the athletic trainers, like it's supporting the whole student. It's not just one piece or one piece. I think when we're talking to people in the town, to make it clear to them that this is a part of educating the whole kid. And if we're offering these sports and we're offering athletics, then we need to be able to really kind of provide for them in a way that makes sense for them as a whole kid. And so because I feel that tension too, and I worry about what people will ask us. And it's very easy for me to say, this is the whole package. Like, this matters so much, and we really need to kind of help people to understand this and get behind it. And if we're kind of wishy-washy, I think that's going to make it tricky when we come to approval of the budget. So I just wanted to kind of say that publicly.
No, that's a good point. And also, like, this would be a new position. So we could
Yeah.
theoretically build the job description and talk about some of the things you talked about earlier as injury prevention into that. So we could have that as, a really strong selling piece.
I think for some kids who have opportunities, say in club sports or other things, and they've had access to trainers, it's a very different world. I mean, we haven't necessarily been a part of that, but we did a trip this summer, and there was a full-time trainer all the time for this baseball team, and I'd never seen anything like it, but we were learning about the body, learning about how to really care so that they weren't overusing it. And I was like, oh, this is so important, especially for kids where this is a big piece of who they are as students. And I was like, I hadn't really thought about it in that way. And so when this came up, I had this in my mind of like, there's a lot more to this athletic training than just wrapping something around the kid's wrist before he goes out there. It's not just this quick fix it, that there actually is a whole philosophy behind it. And I don't know if all of our students have access to that, and it would be great to be able to provide them with that, because I think a lot of them do go on to collegiate sports, and are their bodies going to be able to sustain that? So.
But if I connect those dots, it's a really good point in that in writing the job description, part of athletic training you raised earlier was the before, also obviously the at, but for the kids who do get hurt, providing them with support through recovery, so they can still stay focused on academics and not get distracted. I've got a broken arm and I'm miserable about that because I'm not playing the sport I love. But if they know, obviously the coaches already do this sort of stuff, but if you have the trainer that can help them with the emotional and physical side of healing as well, it's another resource. So in terms of the job description, it's, not just the games, it's the before and after pieces.
Right.
Could be part of that job description as well.
No, absolutely. And the injury piece is so important too. It's so difficult for young athletes to go through an injury. So to have that kind of support would be critical.
I just said a couple of little questions because I was calculating the hours. So would it be a 10-month or 12, like school year position? Or
I think it would be a school year position.
So probably like a 10.
That's at least how I envision it.
Yeah, because
it usually goes a little longer than that, simply because you have sports in the fall that start in August, so it's like a 200-day, 210-day.
Okay, yeah, because then 1450 divided by 10, right? 145 not. So it's just under 40 hours. So it's almost a full-time. It really is. Those hours is currently almost full-time hours based on that. Okay.
Yeah.
And just another question. Just so our current person, does he work only for us or primarily, or is he split and he works for other schools as well?
No, just for us.
Just for us.
When you're contracted out, they have contracts with schools where they send one representative to that school for that year. We've been lucky enough to have him. I believe this is his third or fourth year with us.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ingram.
Thank you.
Pleasure as
so
always.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
Thank you. Good night.
Continuing on with the summer camp quote-unquote trend, we have a summer enrichment course update provided by Mr. Hackett and Mr. Jones and delivered by Ms. Elliott.
By me. So rounding out, I think we've heard a theme between robotics and theater and sports. So I think that this programming definitely is in line with what we've been hearing quite a bit about from our students and different departments. So Mr. Hackett and Mr. Jones have put together another year's summer enrichment program catalog that just was published and pushed out this week. They'll be running some of the favorites that have returned. You can see, over the last few years, certain programs have keep coming back because there's definite interest and have expanded to version 1, version 2, so that kids that have come or have more skill can continue to, pursue that interest. So we'll be running Python Programming 1, Python Programming 2 again, FTC Robotics Programming. New this year will be Code, Create, and Games. So this one is really for younger students entering 2nd grade through 6th grade, and it is hands-on workshop with coding, with Scratch. They'll tackle exciting math games and take on creative STEM challenges. Each day there'll be new challenges, so that looks like a fun week, or a fun, a week for in July. And there's experienced FTC robotics, computer-aided design, and the summer theater camp will continue this summer. It was such a huge success. This year they will be putting on the production Annie Jr., and that is for students entering grades 4 through 9. So all of these will be shared out by principals. We know that from feedback that was received from families last year that the principal's newsletter was the best source of information of where they got this. So these will be posted as a regular item in each school's newsletter, and on the website, the WPS Summer School website, you'll find this flyer and that information to register. So happy to take questions.
Thank you, Ms. Elliott. Mr. Exel.
So I noticed under the summer theater camp that it says that Wilmington and surrounding towns invited.
Mhm.
And I think that's new, because I think last year was the first year we ran it. I'm sure we just,
Yes.
for simplicity, kept it local. I'm curious, how are we inviting surrounding towns?
That's a good question. I know that, so I can seek, reach out. We should have asked her sooner, right, earlier while she was here. But I can reach out and find out more specifically about that. But I do know that there were some of the staff that, teachers that worked in programs brought their own children as well. So I think they decided that they could open it up and for tuition base get some additional students joining if there was a need. So I can definitely find that out, what that process looks like. I'm assuming that they're, applying in the same way that the local participants would. I know she's expanding the number of staff and positions and roles, some of them which were more student responsibilities, like older high school student responsibilities, are now more adult staff. So I think that's in preparation of being able to really expand and offer more opportunity for children. She didn't turn anybody away last year, so I think it's one of those, the bigger the better.
Thank you. Dr. Bryson.
This is great. They look like there are less offerings this year than previous, or no? Is it the same?
There were a few different types of things, but they didn't get the same momentum that others did. So I think it's a matter of sort of trial and run. Where is the desire and the need, and where are the these only run because teachers decide they want to commit to running them in the summer. So, I think the teachers that have been running these have seen such success and enjoy it and come back. The Code Create game is definitely a new one with new staff running that. So I think it's sort of, we've figured out the pathway, and I think these really do complement the athletics nicely. So it's an opportunity for families to have their children in multiple programs at, within the community at the school. As he mentioned, we are trying to talk about, now that this is back at the high school as well, the athletic camps, we'll look at, probably more so for next year, but we're already starting those conversations to really think about alignment and scheduling and how we can make that work so that it's really doable for families or for students who really want to participate in multiple things, sports camps as well as these.
It's not enough kids wanted to learn etiquette.
That's right, I forgot about that.
Am I right? That was one of them last year? etiquette class.
Mr. Turner.
That was a marketing issue more than anything. That class, the 90% of the content sounded super applicable and anyway. So part of what is interesting about the Python one, for example, is it almost feels like a trial towards a potential class at the high school. If that continues to grow, it looks like a place where there's a lot of applicability of Python programming in the space of technology and computer sciences. Having that there feels like it could grow that way. The Code Create game one, I'm really curious how well that one goes. I think it could be a really good one as well, and could also then have things that would follow from year 2 and year 3 or whatnot. And I will plug last year's performance of Seussical was fantastic. The fact that they pulled that off in just these few weeks was a great show. I'm really looking forward to seeing Annie Junior and what they do this coming summer. So they do the theater summer camp is great, and it is just an amazing collection of a lot of students being very involved in the theater. So it's a good for that as well.
I was really excited to see. It's been primarily middle school and high school that we had as we started out, and then we brought it down to entering grade 5 for some things. So I was excited to see the Code Create game because it's a nice foundational level for our students who are finishing up first grade could join this. Rising second graders and up, to kind of give them that foundation of those STEM skills, and then, to create some excitement around the other programs that they can continue to explore.
Dr. Bryson?
So the summer theater camp, so it looks like it's about 3 weeks. It's obviously quite a bit more expensive than the other ones. It's quite expensive, right? I'm assuming some of that's because they have to order the script and there's money, like those things are just pricey, so I just...
And the staff that they're paying.
And the staff to have their, and I guess my question would be, I'm not curious about the breakdown, but if someone did want to do that, but that $9.15 was just too much, are there sort of plans where parents can pay in like lesser amounts over time? I mean, some way where we could accommodate.
So
I just feel like that might be a heavy amount right away.
Yeah, it's 8 to 1. So it's a much longer day than a lot of the others, which are 9 to 11 kind of thing. So it's a long day where parents would be. Some may be also, the alternative would be putting them in some other type of summer camp for a full day or childcare. So it's definitely a longer stretch of time and for multiple weeks. In the past, we have worked with families on payment plans if it was needed or requested so that they could spread out the payments. So those are, and that's also part of the reason that Mr. Hackett and Mr. Jones have been so working so diligently to get this information out in January so that parents can register and plan ahead knowing that this is coming, and if this is a 3-week commitment that they want their child to participate in, they can start to budget for that as well, rather than having it come out in April or May and saying, yikes, this is a big ticket. But yes, we have worked with families in that way to help support that.
Thank you.
So is this the same program that you do your writing workshop through, Dr. Bryson, or is that separate? So is this more, okay.
That's through the rec.
That's through the rec, okay. Well, so because I was first of all curious because I was going to say, my son loved the camp, but that was different. But he loves all the camps he does here. So it's true for everything. But also as a parent, we talked a little bit about organizing it. It would be amazing if there was like one very simple URL, like wpsk12.com/summer camps, that you could just remember and go to and like find everything. Because otherwise, I know every time I have to try to like search my emails and try to remember who, where it is. So I feel like that would be a helpful thing for parents in the town.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Mr. Turner?
Not that I'd ever want to like overplug the theater department, but just on an hourly basis, it's a lot cheaper than the FTC, the advanced robotics one.
Yeah.
So
no, I'm sure, and I got to say,
it is a lot of money. You're absolutely right.
I think it's just the sum of it. I think could deter people, but if they know that there's options to spread out over the course of a few months, that's probably a whole lot easier. Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I'm sure it all makes sense.
It's a good exercise, good excuse to do a little math.
Okay, with that, thank you, Ms. Elliott. I will bring us back to the towards the beginning of our agenda and revisit the superintendent's report. Dr. Thompson?
Yes, I'd kind of like to start at the bottom and work our way up to moving everything around.
That sounds great.
You know, just to be a little different.
Just to keep with the theme of the
So we
meeting.
have a couple informational things. The first in your packet is the SEAM, which is our collaborative that we belong to. They provide programming for students, for out-of-district students. They provide support for different positions in the area districts, as well as professional development. It is a requirement for collaboratives to give an annual report to the member districts, so that is what this is, and it does outline their goals this year or last year and where they are in that process. So that's the SEAM annual report. The other thing, question? Go ahead.
I just want a quick comment about it is one of the fantastic resources we have in this district, and it really does help. And one of the things we've talked about a lot in the budget process is out-of-district costs, and SEAM is a really affordable way for us to get students exactly what they need. And it is really, I mean, it's right now it's 7 out of our approximately 60 students that go out of district go to SEAM programs. And part of what we were having some conversations about also is just how we can continue to expand our use and encourage SEAM to grow in new areas so we can continue to benefit from it. So I appreciate all the efforts on it, and I think it's an important highlight to, as part of the budget process, that we do try and do as much as we can, not just to obviously get kids in the right space for what they need educationally, but also to do it in the best way we can from a budget perspective. So SEAM is something we should always be happy to talk about with other folks.
Yeah, and part of that is finding the right program for the child's needs.
Exactly.
That's obviously point number one. The other thing that is, an advantage is that, the placements are closer, so there's less travel time involved, but that really is a piece. And because we are a member of the collaborative, we do get, a discounted rate. But that's kind of how we work through. Usually, if someone is going out of district, there's packets that are sent out, and people go tour the things, and we try to fit them. But yes, and SEAM has done some work over the last year or so about improving programming and positioning and expanding seats where they are, depending on and reacting to the needs of the collaborative districts.
Yep. Just to follow on from Mr. Turner, I think it would be important for everyone in the committee to kind of hear some numbers about why SEAM Collaborative works for us. I was wondering if you can share with us how much we spend going to SEAM, and then what that difference is if all these students were doing private placement.
Yeah, we did. I did ask Christine Murray to take a look at that. So basically, we have 8 students and 4 one-to-ones that we contract through SEAM. So through 11/25, the expense was $670,320, and if we were enrolling in comparable privates, that would be about $402,000 for a savings of about $71,000. So it definitely is, less expensive, especially if the programs are similar. And like I said before, it is closer. So that's just for 8 or 9 students, $70,000. So it's almost $10,000 a student.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
Just to give another plug for SEAM, which is when I was a middle school special ed teacher, new in Reading. I went there for training, which is really what got me into what I'm in now, math and special education. And so, but I was an in-district teacher. So I think there's also the opportunity for training, professional development, and support for our in-district programs and special education teachers through a collaborative like that is a really great thing they offer.
Yeah, no, it's a huge resource, and we are making as much use of it as we can. All right, so the other informational piece is this year's 2004-2025 annual report for the town's annual report. And again, this goes through all the things that we have been doing, census data, human resource staff highlights, progress and district priorities, staff highlights by level, and just kind of gives an overall progress report. Lots of great graphics in here, making it easy for townspeople to understand, but it obviously is an important piece of that town report so they understand the work of the incredible Wilmington Public Schools. So that is there for your edification. That has been submitted to the town.
Excellent.
Okay.
That's great, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, and then a few things. So first, a reminder, the big move is on tomorrow morning for the Roman House and the Student Services Building. So we're going to be relocating to the third floor of the Town Hall School Administration Building on Middlesex Ave. This does mean, and there was a message that was sent home to families and staff, that communication will be a little disjointed between the central office, AKA formerly the Roman House staff, and OSS. We will be around, but we might not have everything plugged in, or we might be moving boxes, or what have you. If there is an urgent matter, we have asked families and stakeholders to contact their child's school. They have cell phones, and I can personally report that Verizon seems to be up right now, so that we won't be limited by that either. But that we will be open for regular foot traffic and what have you after the holiday on Tuesday the 20th. So bear with us as we go through that. We might be a little slower on our response to things, but we are there. The other thing I wanted to do is I did want to do a little bit of a follow-up on the issue that we had with the bus right before the December break. So after several conversations with families about the alleged incident on bus 12, I wanted to make a few things. Anyone who contacted me either by email or by phone, I did return phone calls and spend time speaking with them on the phone. If people did not reach out, I'm not on the Facebook community pages. I do get indications of what's being discussed there, but that's not a format. Nor is it an appropriate format to have a conversation, but the number will be working if people want to have a conversation. But I want to stress a few things. First, this is still an ongoing police investigation with the possibility of charges being filed. They have not been filed at this point. And accordingly, in accordance with legal process, the information is sealed in a police investigation until someone is either arrested or arraigned and they are brought to court. So that puts the schools in a very difficult situation, that we are not authorized to discuss a lot of the things that the police are investigating. But I do want to be clear that, the complaint went to the police contacted us as well as North River Transportation, and that we immediately and fully coordinated with them and cooperated with them to make sure that they had all the information that they needed to conduct their information. The police were in contact with the people that were affected by that situation, so that is their responsibility. It is not something that we can put out. The school department and North River Transportation, again, worked closely with them. As soon as we were informed of a serious allegation, the driver was removed from driving in Wilmington. And I just want to go back, because there's a lot of conversation, I think, out there about bus drivers. So bus drivers in Massachusetts have to actually undergo very vigorous and annual background checks, all right? So they have to go through a criminal background check as well as a sexual offender background check. They have to bring their driving record, even if it's out of state, and they have to do this yearly. On top of that, North River Transportation also does a fingerprint background check. And then on top of that, they also do monthly safety meetings and train and go back over things with buses. I think if we look at the history with NRT, you will see that they have been a very good partner with us. I heard at our safety meeting yesterday about some sort of weather incident and NRT coming and bringing buses to move people around Wilmington. So they have been a good partner with us. They have been very cooperative in this investigation. That we did meet with NRT, myself and Carrie and Lisa, our Director of Transportation, going through with procedures, expectations, and training topics going forward. We met with them right after the break. And the last thing I'll mention is that we are in a contract with NRT. There is a state bidding process. It is not like going to the grocery store and deciding if you're going to buy the Betty Crocker cake mix or the Duncan Hines. You are committed into a contract, and the Wilmington Public Schools are part of that. If anyone has, there is a state bidding process, and in order to go out, we would have to open a bid, go through a bidding process. There are not a lot of transportation companies out there, and the prices for transportation are much different than they were 3 years ago, which would severely impact the budget that has already been worked on. So that's kind of what I can say at this point. I cannot comment on the investigation, and to be honest with you, I have, periphery knowledge of that. When and if the DA arraigns the person that is alleged to have done these things, then that's when that information will be released. Building update. So we've had several productive building meetings weekly with the core leadership team, as well as several meetings with the larger team and a meeting with the abutters. The project team continues to develop design elements and look at different aspects to get us to that detailed design that we have to submit to MSBA, I believe in March, if I'm correct. You will notice if you drive by that there'll be different groups out there. I think over vacation we had holes being dug, test holes being done, looking at how water travels on the site. So all those things are put into that final detailed plan that goes to approval to the state. So our next meeting is next Tuesday. We'll be here in the LGA starting at 6:30. A quick reminder that Monday, the schools will be closed. It is Martin Luther King Day. So if you show up for school on Monday, you will be the only person there. And then finally, this is School Board Appreciation Month, and I'd like to just take a quick moment to express my gratitude for working with this group of people. And I think I've said nice things in private and public before, but this is probably one of the best groups that I've had the opportunity to work with, and I do appreciate that opportunity. So with that, that's my report.
Thank you,
Mr. Chairman.
Just real quick, piggybacking on that before we do questions, I want to thank our friends from PAWS, because it is apparently School Board Appreciation Month. They provided some coffee and snacks for us prior to this meeting. So today and every day, you guys have been great partners. We appreciate everything. So thank you also as well.
Thank you.
You deserve more.
Thank you, Stella. Thank you. With that, Dr. McCauley.
Yeah, no, thanks a lot, and thanks for the report. Thanks for going over all the issues that came up with the bus and everything like that. One thing I'd like to propose is after we see all the information, like you said, once information's unsealed by the police and everything like that, maybe worth talking with NRT once we kind of see okay, they have all these great safeguards in place. How did this fail? How did this slip through the cracks, if that's what we think happened?
Mm-hmm.
And then just putting in some kind of mitigation procedure in the future to try to prevent something like this happening.
Yeah, it is kind of one of those things where you can do a background check, but if someone actually hasn't been caught at something, they're not going to show up. We can give examples of that, but that is, you can, if someone has not been either accused or charged or what have you, as someone who's looked at many background checks for years, everything, as long as there are charges filed and or arrests made, it will show up, even if there is a non-conviction. And usually what you go for is a conviction. So, but, you can do those, but if someone has not had that experience where they've been arraigned or arrested and charges brought, it's probably not going to show up on a background check. So that is, and I'm not quite sure how you're going to measure capability or intent to do something. So, but to be clear, this is not a case where those processes did not happen.
Yeah.
So, good point. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Thompson. Hearing nothing else, that brings us to, where am I? Subcommittee reports. Hearing none. Correspondence.
None this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. Future school committee dates and other notable items, as was previously mentioned. January 19th, schools and offices are closed for Martin Luther King Jr. Day. January 20th, school building committee meeting here in the LGIR at 6:30 p.m. We meet on January 21st here in this room for our regular school committee meeting and recommended budget presentation starting at 7 p.m. January 28th is an early dismissal day district-wide for CIT Day, and February 11th, 2026 will be our next following regular school committee meeting and also the FY27 budget public hearing, location to be determined, 7 p.m. Adding to that, and we learned about Shrek earlier. Shrek, Mr. Turner, check me, January 22nd and 23rd at 6:30 p.m., January 24th at 4 p.m., all here in the high school auditorium.
Absolutely. Very well done.
What did we miss?
That's it.
All right. Ms. Lord.
Curious about the elementary literacy and STEM nights, are those?
So elementary literacy just didn't make it on the agenda again, but it's January 28th as well in the evening at the middle school. I think it's a 5:30 start.
I've got it on the calendar. It's a 6 p.m. start.
6 p.m. start. Oh, my duty is getting there to help set up our 5:30 p.m. Feel free to come help. No, 6 p.m. for families. It is a super fun event every year, different theme every year, and so this is a camping theme, so they're all excited. So we hope to see lots of families come out for that. STEM will be in March. It's not on our calendar yet. So that'll be coming up soon in the list of future events.
All right. Thank you. All right. Anything else? Hearing nothing, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Dr. Bryson, second by Mr. Ragsdale. All those in favor? That is unanimous. Thank you and good evening.
Thank you.